Welcome to March Malcontent. This is going to be episode 8 of this yearly amiibo tournament we do. Currently, we are in the preseason, which is helping to decide who does and does not make it into the tournament. And for our first match, we're going to have Mii Swordfighter against Link. Looks like we're going to be on the ARMS Stadium. I don't know if it has any sort of catchy name, like ARMS Punching Stadium or something like that. This is hazards off, so you're not going to be seeing any of the jump pads or the little drones carrying items. Although that one might actually be dictated by if items are on or not. Which, in retrospect, I suppose if items are off, then they shouldn't be appearing. But there's always a chance they could appear with nothing. Link almost gets a great edge guard, but then he escorts Mii Swordfighter back to the stage. This is, of course, It's an annoying matchup for Mii Swordfighter because Link has a longer sword than you do, and he has more projectiles than you as well. Of course, this Mii Swordfighter, the only projectile you have is the Shuriken. It's great at a distance, and apparently that move can set off the bomb. Link bouncing off the top of the stage, that's going to allow him to live slightly longer. Going for an edge guard, does not get it. Falling off the ledge actually as well. Great conversion follow-up from Link. Now Mii Swordfighter, sent off stage, has a side B, does not think to use it. Recovers with the up special, which does not cover enough range. So the Mii Swordfighter side special, it does put you into free fall, but you can cancel out of it for a little bit after you end up using the move. So that's something that you normally find out on accident after you use the move to recover, and then you can't do anything else afterwards. The safest thing to buffer out of it, I guess I'd call, is usually going to be your double jump, but your up special works as well. And I suppose you can attack out of it as well, but if you're trying to recover, that's not going to help you make up the distance. Link, safely making it back to the stage. Gets one hit of the forward air that allows him to follow up on Mii Swordfighter, and a point-blank arrow to the face. I'll tell you what, ever since he lost his first stock, Link has become incredibly gutsy. Or he found his courage, which, now they said that out loud, sounds pretty self-evident, because if anybody doesn't know, Link holds the Triforce of Courage. It's one of 3 Triforce pieces that pretty much give you a whole bunch of power. Since you are the player character as Link, what that basically means, though, is that instead of getting any of the cool powers that the Triforce of Wisdom or the Triforce of Power give you, it basically just means you're the main character, so you go through all the conflict, I guess? It is a shame, because it would be cool if you had cool Triforce abilities. Zelda and Ganondorf, I should say, are usually thrown around some sort of like light spheres or fire bats or a whole bunch of different things, depending on what game you're playing. And of course, the reason is ultimately because they have whatever powers would be fun and or engaging for the player to fight. So I get why he doesn't have any of the powers, well, any cool powers that the other two have. But also it does kind of feel lame that Link gets the Triforce of Courage, and it really doesn't do much for him. Instead, he has to get the cool, awesome sword and the whole bunch of other stuff in order to keep pace. And Link pulls that through with a footstool at a perfect opportunity, which means that he is not eliminated from the tournament yet. And for our next match, we're going to have Diddy Kong against Mii Brawler. Looks like we're going to be on the Final Fantasy stage. Although, now that I say that, I should clarify, this is Midgar. There is a second Final Fantasy stage in the game. It's actually also from Final Fantasy VII, the most famous of the Final Fantasies. Which, at this point, is sort of just a name that's applied to a loose collection of RPG-like games. They keep stretching the definition of what does and does not count as an RPG. I'm not saying that they can't, but it does also mean that the cohesiveness between all the Final Fantasy games is kind of getting watered down over time. Great tech by Mii Brawler on the platform that lets him avoid the Diddy Kong forward air. Diddy Kong is a character who very much enjoys pressing a whole bunch of buttons all the time. Yeah, I can't really follow up with that. I've fought a couple of Diddy Kongs recently, and all of them just... I don't know, it felt they... like they needed their medication that day, and they just forgot. Just a lot of inputs per second, but not highly technical inputs per second. Just a lot of things at any given time without any real downtime. Not to disrespect the character or anything, just that the people who play him can be a little bit annoying after a while. Alright, first stocks are down, both characters are tied up until that down air connected. Mii Brawler is definitely a character who can hit hard. Not necessarily a heavyweight, but more having attacks on the harder hitting end of the spectrum. Which, I suppose it would be disappointing if the Mii Brawler had incredibly weak attacks. It's sort of the strength of the character. If anything, it's difficult to balance the Mii characters more than any other character because they have the alternate special moves you can use. Kind of a remnant from Smash 4. It does give the character something unique, and it is enjoyable. I do wish we could have seen the custom moves return, but I can see why they couldn't. I mean, first of all, on all the Mii characters, most of their custom moves are variants of other special moves other characters already have. Which I can definitely understand. It probably saves on coding time and whatnot. Especially for characters who... their whole gimmick is that they're like the generic character. The Miis are supposed to be whatever you want them to be. So it kind of makes sense to give them things that you've seen before. But back to the point of balancing, it's incredibly difficult to balance a character when you don't know what special moves they're going to have in any given match. So effectively, the end result is that the Mii characters have... okay, so they have good, normal moves. However, none of them are particularly special because they want the highlight of the character to be the special moves. But in order for none of those moves to be overpowered, they'll have to be slightly lackluster, I'd say? Or just middle of the strength? Middle of the pack strength? They definitely hit the sweet spot, I'd say. It did take a couple of rounds of balancing patches, mostly because when everybody was using them online, they would just gravitate towards whatever move was thought to be the best. So of all the characters, the Miis may have gotten the most balanced changes, specifically because every patch you'd read, oh, this special move got reduced in power, whereas this one got increased, to try to get people to use them all on a generally frequent basis. And the end result is, I would say, successful. Diddy Kong getting combo out of his down throw, he has a lot of guaranteed combos out of that, so you just have to accept that. Diddy Kong down throws, well, if Diddy Kong grabs you, he's going to get a combo out of it. You have to be at a pretty high percent. That's normally the high percent that Diddy Kong doesn't bother to grab you and he just goes to kill you instead. Usually with a smash attack, probably confirmed with a banana peel. That almost killed me, Brawler. Not quite, though. Diddy Kong getting sent off stage. Able to make it back. Bouncing off the stage, he's not going to be able to make it back from that. His up special can go far, but you do need to charge it first. Which means Diddy Kong will not be making it back. And up next, we've got Marth against Pit. Even if I accidentally put these characters both in white outfits. Although I suppose with Pit, most of his outfits are white or off-white. He is an angel after all. And of course, I never really coordinated all the characters' outfits when determining who to give what color variation. But of course, it would be nice if I could have somehow managed to make it so that no character had a very similar color palette. But today we do have two characters who are dressed in white and blue, so sorry, viewers. Although this is also content for your benefit, so I don't know how sorry I should be. Oh, and Pit with the taunt. That's never something you want to see here in April Anger. You can... Pit's actually been an amiibo in the lineup for a while. Down air, throwing Marth off stage. He's able to get back with his air dodge. And he makes it back with his air dodge again, that time going uncomfortably high. Especially for a character at 120%, if Pit had decided to read that with a smash attack, that could have been a problem. For Marth, I mean. Side special, catching the Marth up special. That's actually pretty hard to do. It is a little bit easier in this specific situation because Pit's side special does have armor on it. Marth regaining his footing. His sword is long enough to poke through to the platform up there. And I can only assume that Pit made that parry intentional. If that was a human, you know it wouldn't be. Especially because humans, I don't think can actually time that. Just due to how much data we have about standard reaction times and whatnot. And Marth seems to be taunting back. That is also a problem. These characters have been in the lineup for a while, so they may be due for a retrain soon. But only the bottom 4 characters each year get retrained. And I have not yet decided to use... I don't know what to call it. I call them actually using steroids. Obviously not real steroids, I don't mean that. In the amiibo sense, I would refer to that as there are people who have found NFC card readers that let you actually edit the values of the amiibo simply by just using the NFC technology, because that's how the amiibo actually work. It would be interesting, and the biggest benefit I would think would actually be that some of these amiibo do taunt, and that is incredibly hard to remove from them. And I really don't want to just wipe an amiibo of all of its memory. I feel like if we were to do that, we would instead just get, say, 100 of a certain character of amiibo and put them all against each other and see who wins. I don't know how I'd train 100 amiibo separately and have them have meaningful differences. But with that high of a sample base, you would, in theory, find the best fighter. Or at least the best fighter when it comes to fighting that same amiibo. Because again, things do... okay, I hope you didn't hear that audio glitch. Things do come into effect in battles, and by that I mean stuff like character matchups, or how good a character performs off stage. All of that can affect these amiibo fights. Pit with an instant side B does not catch Marth with it, but he did get him in the hitbox. That at least triggers the special hit of the move. Marth air dodging back to stage successfully. You always got to worry about it with the amiibo, because if they miss the air dodge, they fall down, usually to their death. Marth with a taunt. Looked like he was going for a really slow up smash there, but no. Pit fighting back. Marth falls out of the up smash because Pit barely clipped him with it. In Smash Ultimate, they did definitely make all of the multi-hits much more consistent, and it does help that partially because of the removal of the rage mechanic. That's not even a full removal, I should say. It just got toned down, and certain types of hitboxes don't have it apply. The comboing hitboxes, which does make a lot of moves more consistent. Like there, when you get a clean hit on Marth, all the moves connect. And there, a falling forward air, usually someone would fall out of that sort of situation. But Pit is getting them all to connect. It does actually get to be a problem on Greninja specifically, because he has some cool techniques you can do if you can make the opponent fall out of his up air. But because hitboxes are now more consistent, it is harder to do that. Up smash is going to take Marth's final stock. We were in a last hit situation, and Pit found it. It is actually. That means Marth is out. And next we have Simon against Yoshi. Simon, a character with many projectiles. Yoshi has a projectile, but it is probably one of the hardest to use. that isn't attached to any sort of other move. For example, I know Kirby's up special does have a projectile on it, but it doesn't go particularly far. It's easier to think of it as an extended hitbox. So you can see Yoshi did use the egg there, and it can be great against opponents who are unprepared, but it is difficult to use in a lot of other situations. Of course, if it were to be the same efficiency that it has in the Yoshi's Island games, it would be an absolute monster of a projectile unless they made it do absolutely no damage. Throwing Yoshi off stage, goes for a read, does not get it. Yoshi has the highest airspeed in the game, so he can be anywhere when he needs to. Very hard to run away from him. Simon surprisingly didn't hit the stage with that forward air. Getting Yoshi on the shield jab. He probably could have held it a little bit longer. Gets spiked from very high up. Learning to throw an axe at Yoshi, that actually is good for this matchup. Yoshi enjoys being in the air with his, well, basically all of his traits. And the axe is very good at covering people who enjoy jumping at you, because it covers that exact angle and it hits like a truck. And it chews through shields. In one of the Smash Ultimate's earlier patches, projectiles had to get reduced shield damage so that they'd stop breaking them, and so that you could actually shield them as a defense. And almost every projectile in the game got affected by the... It's effectively a multiplier, but a multiplier of something like 0.85. I don't know if that's the specific one. But it reduces the damage done to shields specifically. So it does the same amount of damage to players. But of all the projectiles in the game to receive that treatment, the Belmont's throwing axes were not reduced at all. And to be fair, if you're getting your shield broken by throwing axes, you kind of deserve it. They go in a big arc, so if it hits your shield, it means you are standing on the ground at a perfect distance away from Simon or Richter. Anyway, the first one chunks about half your shield. The second one usually chunks the other half of your shield, maybe slightly less, so you need to get hit by literally anything for the third axe. But still, it's not something you see happen almost at all. Forward smash is going to send Yoshi away, but not kill him. Footstool's not going to do it either. Yoshi has a very high double jump. Simon still's just trying to send Yoshi off stage. Yoshi is actually heavier than average, which is a fact that I always get surprised at. But it does mean you have to actually kill him. If he's off stage, he's going to make it back. He has the airspeed to do it. So you have to hit him hard. And that's difficult often because Yoshi is a character who enjoys pressing a lot of... Okay, I would say a lot of buttons, but it's usually the A button. He has a lot of good A button moves that he throws out whenever he wants to. Up special is going to kill Yoshi. If you DI that right, it doesn't kill until about 140%. But that's the percent Yoshi was at, so even if he did or did not DI it, he probably still should have died. Yoshi hovering right above Simon. That's dangerous because Simon has a very high-reaching up smash. It is a whip, so it's gonna go far. But Simon does not seem to be using it. And to be fair, it definitely wasn't a priority when training him, just because usually characters aren't that high above you unless they're standing on the top platform of Battlefield. But Yoshi's been doing that and been going unpunished, and his shoes are just big enough to reach the ledge. And for our next match, we're going to have Mewtwo against Pac-Man. Alright, looks like we're going to be on the Cloud City of All Rest. This will be slightly interesting. Okay, Pac-Man's Fire Hydrant does not roll on that slope. On some slopes it does. It's a little hard to determine. I assume it's determined by the steepness of the slope, which is not quite the same as whether or not your character can stand on the slope. That's actually determined by different factors, I'm pretty sure. I know that certain characters like Bowser can struggle on certain custom stages if the steepness of the slope is too much. because Bowser is too wide, that effectively it means that his center of gravity is on the platform, but his necessary footprint is pushing him off to the side. That normally just means that your character would slide off of the slope. They did put a lot of work into the stage building to make sure that stuff like that is not super common, and if you know about it, you can definitely plan accordingly. And of course, on all of the normal stages, there's been plenty of testing to make sure that all the characters function on all the platforms. They also don't go as extreme with the different stage elements. Great play from Mewtwo there, hitting Pac-Man away and hitting him with his fire hydrant. Up smash, not going to kill Pac-Man yet. Pac-Man throws fruit off the stage. If he had a different one, it maybe could have hit Mewtwo. But he did not. Pac-Man falls for the real-life player trap of not being able to see your trampoline. Of course, if anybody is trying to play Pac-Man and keeps struggling with that, the simple solution is to just not hold the direction after you deploy the trampoline, and you will fall on it. It's really that simple. Pac-Man with a great read on the down smash. Mewtwo's player tag actually disappeared at that exact moment, making it pretty hard to determine where Mewtwo was going. I actually would have expected him going to the ledge, but I was wrong, and Pac-Man got a kill for it. Side specialing back up to the ledge. Pac-Man learning, at least I'd hope. Getting back the stage presence, and then getting knocked off immediately again. Hits Mewtwo with a fire hydrant. Something to watch out for whenever you're fighting Pac-Man is that if he is above you at all, he's going to throw out that fire hydrant. It's too tempting to not. Like right there, Pac-Man used the fire hydrant. It's like clockwork. That back air might have killed Mewtwo's stock just because he was so far off the side of the screen. He didn't get hit by it, so he lives longer, of course. But Pac-Man's also getting high up there in the percent, and Pac-Man needs to be taking a stock before Mewtwo, or else he's going to be losing. That almost did him in as well. Not super close, but Mewtwo is a hard-hitting character. He's kind of a lightweight. He's a lightweight with strong attacks. I don't remember exactly how light he is, but he's also floaty, so it would be weird if he was floaty and incredibly heavy. Okay, a fully charged forward smash, well, a almost fully charged forward smash will kill Mewtwo, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for Pac-Man. You gotta watch out for that trampoline. Nobody falls on it yet, but it's currently at the red state, and it despawned before it could kill someone. So Pac-Man's trampoline, it starts out blue, then turns yellow, then turns red. If you land on it when it's red, you get put into special fall. And if it's above a pit, that just means you die. Up air is going to kill Pac-Man. Mewtwo managing to not lose his advantage. And here we've got Wario against Pikachu. Alright, looks like we're going to be on the other Final Fantasy stage. I forget the name of this one, so I guess I'm going to have to look that up later. Pikachu with a great start, almost gets Wario off on one of Pikachu's widely known... Pikachu has long combos. I'll just leave it at that. Wario eating his bicycle, which is a weird sentence outside of the context of Smash Brothers. It does heal 1% and it charges his waft sooner. Uses the up special out of the up tilt. Usually you'd want to land at least one up air in there. Wario's up air does a lot of damage. Wario don't land for that. Okay, he managed to hit Pikachu out of it with his down air, but that was a lot closer than you would otherwise hope for. Unless, I suppose, you're rooting for Pikachu. I, of course, am worried about all of these amiibo. I want them all to have a chance to succeed, even if I know not all of them will. I want to see that I trained them well. And, of course, I trained them against me and then pit them against each other. Something to know if you ever go into training an amiibo is that you definitely want to know what you're training your amiibo for. An amiibo that's trained to fight other amiibo should behave differently than an amiibo that's trained to fight humans. These are, of course, amiibo who are trained to fight humans, but pitted against each other as amiibo. So that's a little bit counterintuitive, I suppose. It also makes for okay viewership content, so I don't plan on changing it. And it does mean that at some point I can make some poor soul fight 50 plus amiibo that are all engineered in a way to try to defeat them. I haven't done that yet. Not any real reason. I guess I don't know anyone who would be willing. Also, April Anger happens every year at Clockwork, so that's a strict timetable, whereas making someone who might not be my friend for too much longer, depending on how much I make them suffer through. Oh, Wario tried to rewrite his bicycle there. That is something you can do. It does work perfectly fine, and Wario's, I believe, can ride other Wario's motorcycles as well. It still is linked to each Wario. You can't pull your bicycle out of the ether if it's already on the stage. But it is a cool feature that Warios know how to ride the motorcycle. I don't know if it has a specific name. It probably does. It's in one of the Mario Kart games, I'm sure. Up tilt, Wario doesn't know any combos. Granted, at that percent, there isn't too much you can combo out of it. If you're Wario, this is normally when you look for a forward tilt near the ledge at Pikachu. Or maybe just throw out a random smash attack. Wario's smash attacks aren't the greatest. They do work, they are smash attacks. Oh, and a strong hit of jab of dash attack actually is going to be enough. Somehow sniping Pikachu out of the quick attack, that's really hard. Quick attack is a move that moves very fast. And Pikachu's has a hitbox. Pikachu making it back to the ledge. I still comment on it because sometimes the amiibo fail. Especially since Pikachu has one of the... I don't want to call it the hardest recovery to use, but a lot of people mess it up a lot. So it's the most easily screw-upable recovery in the game, I'd say. Tied with Pichu's, of course, because they work very similarly. Pikachu going for a quick attack right back on the platform. If you land with the move, it is, of course, a lot less laggy than if you don't. Waft, not going to hit Pikachu. That could have spelled the end of the game right there. Pikachu needs to find a kill on Wario and needs to do it soon. Pikachu is a lightweight character, and so is looking at the verge of death pretty soon, especially since Wario has all of the rage built up. Pikachu's not going to be able to recover from that. Well, okay, Pikachu could have, but did not recover from that. Pikachu could have used his side special, but guess he chose not to. And now we've got Corrin against Robin. Both stars of their respective games. Looking at their amiibo, the default skin coloration does have them with both silver hair. So they're actually narratively pretty similar characters. Of course, in Smash Bros. They play significantly different. But it is interesting to see the parallels. Robin landing a lot of these up airs. So the thing to know about Robin's... I get aerials, I guess, is that Robin can use the Bronze Sword or the Levin Sword. The Levin Sword is the squiggly zigzag one. Kind of looks like the sword the one guy uses at the end of Mulan. Oh, I'm gonna have to look up his name, aren't I? I can't remember. Anyways, the zigzag sword has thunder powers. That's the Levin Sword. In Smash Bros., it's tied to a resource meter. You can actually see it up the bottom of the screen right now. It hits harder, which I guess makes sense. It has electrical powers. And, oh, Corrin's having fun with that sword. Actually managing to hit Robin with it. When you use up the meter, the item does get flung off of Robin the character, and anybody can pick it up and use it as a weak projectile. So, the other thing to know about the sword is that when you use the strong version, of course, in the air, it's effectively a smash attack with how hard it hits. Robin is a slow character, so it's not game-breakingly strong or anything. But it does also mean you need to watch out for aerial smash attacks. That's not something characters can usually do, at least not consistently. Although, I guess depending on how you count on it, a lot of characters have things that could qualify. So the resource management is something to know of about Robin. There's a lot of reward, but if you manage it poorly, you can get caught out having weaker attacks, having none of your special moves, not including the recovery, actually. That one's incredibly important. Corrin with the fast fall to try to hit Robin. It worked, but Corrin almost went far enough to not be able to recover. The back air somehow beating out the forward air. Well, I know they just barely missed, so I'm not aghast at how it could have possibly occurred. But considering that Robin started out on the wrong side of Corrin for that interaction, it's not what you would have expected to happen. Robin not going off stage, which I can respect, especially if you don't have the Living Sword. You don't particularly have a reason to. Although usually for human players, they will stay on stage and use the side special, the Hellfire Tome. It sets down what is effectively a fire trap at the ledge. The geometry of this stage does make it a little bit harder to try to get it directly at the edge of the stage. In fact, it's such sharp enough of a turn you might not be able to. And that killed Robin. Robin is now at a great deficit. Yes, the rapid jab follows up with standing still and charging a tome. That's a great way to get punched in the face. Corrin down airs past the ledge. That's going to lead to her demise as well. But she has a stock to spare. She can afford to make those mistakes. Robin really doesn't. Fully charged projectile there. Robin did at least shield it. Corrin going super low, making it back though. Corrin the second, I should clarify. It's quicker to say Corrin, since both Corrins aren't on screen. It's easier to say and differentiate them that way. Of course, this is the Corrin second amiibo because it is the Player 2 physical amiibo model. They made the Player 1 and Player 2 models. Main difference being that Player 1's Boy Corrin, Player 2 is Girl Corrin. Kind of because in the Fire Emblem that Corrin's from, I'm pretty sure it's Fire Emblem Fates. Gonna have to double check that though. You get to customize your player avatar, and you're just called Corrin either way, so it works out. But it does mean for a game like Smash Brothers, you have to kind of pick one to go with, or do what they did and make the different colorations of the character, also choose which of the avatars you use. Which is something they also did for Robin. Again, these characters are sort of similar thematically. Dude, Corrin shielded the last hit of that jab, getting off a forward smash. I did not expect that. That does go to show you, though, that you need to release your rapid jabs a little bit earlier than you might otherwise. Last match of the video, we have Lucas against Duck Hunt. Definitely a stage that I'm glad was introduced into the Smash Brothers series, specifically because it meant that Midgar got more musical tracks that could play on it. Square Enix is apparently incredibly stingy with what they do and do not allow from their series to be put into the game. Lucas going way too high, manages to not get punished for it. It can be to your benefit if your opponent is expecting you to not do that. Duck Hunt with a great tech. Kept his double jump, he's able to make it back. Lucas also able to make it back. Duck Hunt able to make it back, not able to intercept Lucas. Duck Hunt makes it back. Why are these... Okay, they're just playing in the bottom left corner of the screen. I cannot explain this. They keep trying to edgeguard the other one, and it's just not working. Lucas got a hit, but that one felt more as an accident, or as a result of trying to recover, if anything. Oh no, they're off stage again. Duck Hunt should have dropped off the ledge and hit Lucas with a back air. Instead, he jumped off the ledge, and that made him pretty much unable to get to Lucas. See, like that. He should have done that. And both characters make it on stage and then move 20 paces apart and start the process over again. And Lucas finally learning to not go off stage after Duck Hunt. I don't know what Duck Hunt was planning there. He does get killed for it, though. So maybe a lesson will be learned today. Chasing Lucas with the can, but the can is pretty slow. Duck Hunt is now in his element, though. He has all of his projectiles set up. It's going to be difficult for Lucas to get out unscathed. He doesn't, but he also has only taken 12% so far. And by Lucas, I should have said Duck Hunt, because I mentally got those switched in my brain. Well, this is going to be a really confusing episode if I keep saying things wrong. Duck Hunt goes for a spike, gets hit by the tail of the PK Thunder, though. It's enough to knock him out of the move and not kill Lucas. Both characters recovering to the stage successfully. Lucas goes for a down tilt grab that usually works on players, but I guess Duck Hunt saw it coming. Of course, air dodging isn't normally a spot dodging, I should say, isn't normally a particularly risky move. It can actually be really annoying against certain characters. The easiest counter I found is usually if you just use your jab, if you have a multi-hit combo, even if it's just a 1-2-3 kind of multi-hit, that's usually enough to hit the other player out of their spot dodge. Duck Hunt barely making it back to the stage. Good job, Duck Hunt. Lucas standing suspiciously close to the can. It was going the other direction, so he wasn't going to get hit by it. But that is a standard practice I'd normally advise against. Duck Hunt goes for a spike, doesn't get it. Lucas goes super low. His recovery should be enough. It is, and Duck Hunt also makes it back to the stage. For how much these characters have been incredibly reckless off stage, to their credit, no one has died because of their own stupidity. It's because of the other opponent. Forward air, not enough to kill Lucas. Chasing him with a can and a cowboy. I guess he's a gunman, but he kind of looks like a cowboy. Duck Hunt went for an up smash, but he wasn't able to hit Lucas with it. Lucas getting hit by the tail end of the frisbee there. I didn't even know it had a hitbox there. Hitting his PK fire way too high. Able to actually get the grab off of Duck Hunt, though. Doesn't go for any sort of follow-up. That would have been a great time for an up smash. Duck Hunt making it back on stage. Lucas doing the same, actually grabbing the ledge, which is good. The amiibo sometimes has a habit of only recovering the same way every time, which, as a human player, is incredibly predictable. Duck Hunt with a smash attack. Second one's gonna connect. That's the second stock taken this game, and we have just over 3 minutes left. I think this is gonna go into overtime. That's what Duck Hunt should have done earlier. Lucas was at a low enough percentage he was able to easily survive. But if he wasn't, that actually would have killed him. So I think that's a good job on Duck Hunt there. The single jab and up tilt, that should never connect, but Duck Hunt made it happen by running into it. Grab near the ledge. It's not going to kill. Lucas doesn't have as strong of throws as Ness does. Of course, up until Smash Ultimate, Ness was the character with the strongest throw in the game, so that can be pretty hard to compete with. And even then, he only lost it because he got beaten out by Incineroar. He was a character who has, depending on how you define it, only kill throws. Well, okay, one of them's the down combo throw, but that almost never kills. In fact, it only ever kills if it combos into a kill move. Duck Hunt barely avoiding the PK Thunder. Goes for an up smash, but Lucas happened to miss all of the hitboxes on it. Two minutes left. Duck Hunt needs to take a stock and then probably win in overtime, which I guess now we should be talking about that. In the preseason and during the normal tournament season, we will be playing out Super Sudden Death. It's actually a pretty good system to determine who wins, so I want to go by it. Especially because the other common method is to judge the percents of both characters. which I suppose I could do through video editing, but first of all, with the auto heal, that can be difficult at times. And second, since we're not making real people play for real money, we can just say that if you make it to super sudden death, whoever wins that wins the game. Especially because I think that would actually make tournaments just a little bit more interesting too. It would at least make timeouts a lot less common. Interesting that the game normally comes with a system to prevent incredibly cheesy, long, protracted gameplay for a competitive advantage. 1 minute left. Lucas is in range to be killed, but whether or not Duck Hunt can pull it off is the question. And I guess if Duck Hunt dies first, then that's the game anyway. Duck Hunt does not get hit by PK Thunder, but he does get clipped by Lucas's sneaker, and that's going to end the match before super sudden death. So I guess I explained it all for nothing. That's all for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. We've got other episodes coming out soon. Hope you enjoy those when they come out. But until then, bye.